The biggest liquidation event in history just happened, and XRP had one of the biggest moves to the downside in the entire market. So let's try and get up to date with exactly what on earth just happened, how this happened, and what I've done to position myself.
암호화폐 폭락으로 역사상 가장 큰 청산 사태가 일어났는데요. 8년차 영국 트레이더 코너는 이번 사태를 어떻게 보고 있는지 그리고 대응 전략은 어떻게 되는지 알아보겠습니다.
And just look at Bitcoin's move to the downside. Bitcoin went as low as $103,000. If we take a look at XRP on some accounts, on some platforms, $1.07. Right now back at $2.44, but the most insane liquidation wick I have ever seen. Now, a lot of my XRP positions and other positions were stopped out in this move to the downside. My XRP low leverage long-term position stopped out in the move to the downside. Dogecoin made it, Solana made it, Ethereum made it, Sui made it, Bitcoin made it, but not the XRP position. Also, my XRP as collateral position did not make it out of this alive. So guys, this is something that we have to take on the chin. There will be some losses when you're trading in crypto, and no trader makes 100% gains. All right, this is just something that we have to accept. However, moving on, it's what we do in moments like this that continue our journey, right? So I opened a new XRP position. Now we're in $2,000 of profit, but right now is not the time to be going too crazy. We're going to get some insane volatility, but one thing to note is the longs have been annihilated from the market, leaving only shorts, almost a flip, an entire market flip. Almost $20 billion of short positions now sit in the Bitcoin market. So it tells us one thing: the majority are expecting a further push to the downside, which normally means we get a push to the upside. So XRP was annihilated, Doge annihilated, Bitcoin even annihilated, but Binance actually went down, right? Binance went down for a little bit. They're happy to report that all their services have been restored, but this is one of the big things that created this move. So I did some digging. The last time Binance went down to this degree was May 19, 2021. And this happens to coincide with this wick here. Another interesting liquidation wick, which went as low as 29,900. This pushed the market down almost 30% in a single candle. That's similar to what we just saw, about 20+% on Bitcoin. Now, what's interesting about this level, as the low that it actually went to then got retested 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 times before the next move to the upside. And if you were involved in crypto in this time, it was a very scary time. However, the good news is basically the bottom of the wick for that pull to the downside was the worst it got. We bought a 37% move here, and then we went down to retest it again before heading higher. However, this was a horrible, choppy time, scary time to be in the market. It lasted from that low to where we actually made the final low, 63 days, before Bitcoin then went on to do a parabolic rise in the final year. So is this going to be a push longer? Are we going to get this final parabolic phase maybe in 2026 instead? Because now we have refreshed the market. Now we have flushed out all of the leverage. Now there's no guarantees, but I am still betting on upside. Now that might sound crazy on a day like today, but as you know, I watch certain charts, certain indicators, and I pay attention to these. I pay attention to the data, not to my emotion. And what the data tells me is we briefly dipped below the 200 MA, but we are still firmly above it, making me quite comfortable in opening positions like this Doge position. But I now have $9,000 of profit in that after having the third Doge trade stopped out in break even. But again, I've taken profits, secured my downside by moving in a break even stop loss. All right, so that's the important thing for me. So I won't lose money in this trade, but I have access to the upside, and I struck while everyone else was panicked. All right, so there's a lot of stuff going on here, almost 20 times bigger than the Rona-Ronason crash of March 2020. Isn't that absolutely insane? Now, a lot of people are calling this a coordinated dump, and I also think that someone might have blown up here. This might have been a big leveraged position. It might have been a whale. It might have been a market maker. But it seems like someone, right, blew up. And we might see that body float up to the surface at some point soon. Now, in the last 2 times Virtual Bacon can remember with similar sized market wipes, December 2017 and March 2020, both were insane entries after a shakeout. However, nobody has money to buy now. So let me know what you guys are doing down there in the comment section. With that said, I'll see you in the next one.